What's up, guys? Welcome to Pelvic Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Alhui. Today, I'm going to talk about how there are two different buyers and how to connect with them. So, if you are someone that is struggling with sales, this is the podcast you want to listen to for the moment. Okay? So, number one, the two types of buyers are an emotional buyer, and then I call them a type A buyer. Personally, I'm an emotional buyer, which means you tell a story about someone or something. I see myself in that story, and then I am like, oh my gosh, if they got this result, then why can't I? And then it gives me confidence to then invest in the thing or in the person because I know the results they got this person. So then I'm more confident that I'm going to get that result. So I'm going to invest in that thing. And I'm going to bring this to like real life example, okay, for like clinic owners, or let's start with clinic owners first. So with clinic owners, the real life example that I can give you for an emotional buyer is when someone calls the office and they are like, ring, ring, ring. Hi, yeah, do you guys take my insurance? And we say no. And they're like, oh, I just really don't know if I can afford you. And you say, completely understand, Sally. However, I can tell you this. Susie over here, she was a bus driver. And she came in and she had leakage. She had prolapse. She actually had the same exact symptoms you're experiencing. And it stopped her from being able to run with her kids. And because of that, she said the same thing to us. She was like, I don't know if I can afford it. I'm a bus driver. Like, I just don't know if this is possible. And we were able to not only solve her problem, but we were able to actually get her to be able to run around with her kids and her feel confident in that and not feel that she has to go put on, a pad before she runs out the door and plays with them. And because of that, after the fact, she said, you know what, guys, it was so worth the investment because you guys were able to get me the results. And I actually, before this, saw two other providers and they were not actually able to get me that result. So I'm so glad that I invested in this because now, because I invested, I now am able to feel more confident playing with my kids. And it was just like, yes, like that is it. Like, so we tell that story over the phone to the client that's on the fence. And we're like, now she's able to play with her kids. She doesn't have to think about it. Like, think about how worry-free you can be. Think about how, you're not limited by your activities. And they're like, oh, you must be old. Like, you don't want your kids thinking you're old. You want them to think you're the coolest person ever. So that is what happened with this person that was coming in here and that was hesitant at first, but she started to see the results and that's what kept her coming. And that's what I want for you. That's exactly what I want for you. And so the emotional buyer needs to feel it. They need to hear the stories. They need to, I would say stories sell, facts tell. So if you're just like, well, 1 in 2 people have leakage, like that's not gonna get the person to be like, oh yeah, you can solve my problem. That just doesn't work out like that. But if you're like, hey, Sally over here was in the exact same place that you are, and this is what we did for her, and this is how we solved the problem. Another way I like to hit it is just tell the patient's story, not from like the perspective I just hit it with, but tell the patient's story of like, so Sally came in, she had the exact same symptoms as you did. What we did with her first, and I would tell the patient, the potential patient, what we are going to do with her. So at first we had to stretch things because things were actually too tight. They were holding on. They were not strong. They were weak, but we had to stretch them. So at first we stretched them. And then what we did is then we had to reconnect the muscle to the brain. And so we did that second, and we were able to do that by taking her out to the gym, having her jump on the trampoline. We had her go running. We had her do jumping jacks. We had her go do bunny hops. And she started to slowly be able to do that. And then we put more high intensity, more load with her. And then she was like, wow, I can actually do, 10 jumping jacks without leakage. Like, this is freaking amazing. And then we were able to take away her pad that she was wearing. And then we were able to get her to fully be able to jump on the trampoline for 15 minutes without leakage. Like, how freaking amazing is that? And then the patient's like, yes, I get it. Like, or the current client, the potential client that we want coming in the door, is like, yes, that's exactly what I want. That is how you get an emotional buyer to come into the door, guys. That's how you get them. If you are reading a script and you're like, so what's your name? What's your problem? What have you tried in the past? Okay, great, but that's not going to get someone that's on the fence. It's an emotional buyer to come in. It's just not. Now, there's a second buyer, and I call them type A'ers. This is what I am not. They're the people that break down A plus B equals C. So they want to know, they're the more logical buyers. They want to know, is it going to be worth their investment? So someone comes in with leakage and they're like, oh, you guys cost too much. I can't do this. They give me whatever excuse they say. And I'm basically like, Sally, completely understand. Number one, you always have to empathize with them, not sympathize, but empathize with them. So I'm empathetic. I understand, Sally, where your head's at with this, but let me ask you a couple questions here if that's okay. Yeah, go ahead. How much time did you have to take off going to the urologist, gynecologist, going back and forth to another PT? How much time did that take? Well, I had to go to that other PT 3 times a week. And then I went to my gynecologist like a couple times because she wasn't sure what was happening. And then I went to the urologist. And, actually now that you say that, that was like at least 6 to 7 hours I had to take off from work because I had to go to all these freaking doctor's appointments. And so is your problem solved? That's what I would say to them. So is your problem solved? No. Okay, so you've already spent 7 hours trying to figure this out. So here's my question to you. Why don't you come to the experts that actually know how to solve this problem, since we've solved thousands of people's problems, okay, with this exact same issue? As you can see from all of our Google reviews, we have solved this problem many, 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 many times. And it actually would be 12 hours total that it would take to solve this problem. So is that something you'd be willing to invest in and come in? And then she has to think about it. Okay, so let's say she thinks about it more. She's like, I still don't know because of the cost. I get the time that it is costing me. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Sally. How much money are you wasting on that gym membership that you're not using because you don't have confidence to go? What is it worth to you to be able to run with your kids again? Probably thousands of dollars, right? I mean, it's priceless. Yeah, Kelly, you're right. It is priceless. Okay, how much are those pads costing you every single day? Well, probably like, $5, $6. Okay, that's $5-6 a day. That's a Starbucks coffee. Add that up, whatever the facts are a year, that's how much you could be saving. And or let's just get this problem solved and you don't even have to think about it and you don't have to spend money on pads. And like I said, it just is a commitment of just once a week. That's it. Just once a week. And then she's like, well, you know what? Maybe I was like, I would just recommend coming in, do a session. Let's, see where you're at. Let's really do an evaluation and see what's going on and truly see how long this is going to take. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll come in. Okay, great. That sounds good. So that's like the brick and mortar way. The online way to do this, there's still the emotional buyer and the logical buyer, aka the type A buyer. The online way is you have to convey that through a funnel or a landing page. You have to convey it through that. So what that means is you have to convey it through like a video form or a written form with pictures. You can't just like talk it out on the phone. So every objection that person potentially is going to have, You have to know that so you can have videos and pictures and testimonials that handle that objection that those type A'ers or those emotional buyers would want. So you have to have stories. You have to say, I did this method and this is the outcome I got. Like, that is huge. And so if you have that, then your sales, you'll watch them grow. If you do not have that, the sales will go back down. So these are, this is the difference between the emotional buyer and the logical buyer, is you've got to break down for the type A'ers, you've got to break down what is it going to cost them. And sometimes I'll simply be like, okay, if you invest $3K, are you going to get $3K back in return and some? Then is that not worth it? And they're going to be like, yes. Running around with your kids, how much do you think that is worth for you? 1K, 2K, 3K, 5K, 10K? What do you think? Probably 10K? Okay, great. So wouldn't 3K be worth it? Yeah, it would be. Okay. Well, that's why I'm saying I'd recommend you coming in. And so a lot of times what tends to happen with us, especially us therapists, because we don't have any sales training, you tend to just like, well, is that okay? And you over talk, and you don't want to hear the awkward pauses, and you don't want to hear the no's, and you don't want to hear the, I can't afford it because it hurts our therapy heart. But the reality is, if I let someone go that I know I can actually help, I'm not helping them, because I know that they are going to go around in the hamster wheel, and they're going to go back to the gynecologist, potentially get a pessary. They're going to go back to the urologist and think there's a flow issue or whatever else. They're going to put them on meds to try to stop whatever. It's masking the problem. I know we can truly solve the problem. So it's on us to get them to see that we can solve their problem. So if you're like, I just hate being salesy. This is not salesy. If you look at it like a salesperson, that means you don't believe in what you're doing. I don't sell anyone anything. I point out that people have a problem, and I point out that I have a very clear solution to get you from place A to get you to place B. And I'm the bridge to get you there, okay? Or the method, not me personally, but the method is the bridge to get you there. That's what I need you guys to do, and then you won't feel salesy. But if you're like, I don't believe what I do, I don't really know if it works, blah, 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 you're going to feel salesy, and you're going to feel like shit, and we're not going to get anyone to come in or get any person online. So just be mindful of that when it comes to sales. I'm just trying to make friends, and B, I'm not selling anything to anyone. I'm just getting them to know that they have a problem and I can help you. That's it. So hopefully that helps guys with sales. If you're a little iffy on it, I had to do a lot of work on this because I was like, no, I don't want to take anyone's money. But you are not taking any money. I'm not taking anyone's money. I'm providing massive value, and then in exchange for it. But the money doesn't belong to me. The money gets used to help impact more people. So that's how you have to look at it. And if you guys need help with that, please let me know. Be happy to help. Reach out at PelviBiz on Instagram and be happy to assist with that. So hope you guys have a great night, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.